Welcome to a Fresh Perspective podcast, catering to the latest in ingredient trends, consumer insights, and food news. Brought to you by Corbion.
Hello, and welcome to a Fresh Perspective podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything food. I'm Jenny Kulzer, your host, and we are joined today by a very special guest, Juliana Potts. She is the president and CEO of the North American Meat Institute, or NAMI. Welcome, Juliana.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. And we have so much to talk about today. So first of all, let's just kick things off because this is a short podcast and we have a lot to talk about. To begin with, tell me a little bit about NAMI, the North American Meat Institute.
North American Meat Institute is the trade association that represents meat and poultry processors, equipment and ingredient suppliers, as well as some allied members like food service and retail. So we have about 330 meat and poultry processors in the membership, and they are the companies that are federally inspected by USDA for food safety purposes, and we provide them support in everything that they do.
So when we talk about supporting the meat and poultry industry through NAMI, like what types of support does that mean? Like legal support? Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So we're based in Washington, D.C. So you can imagine we do a lot of interaction with the federal government. So the Food Safety Inspection Service, which is a division of the Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, we interact with the political appointees, the career people in that agency all the time on behalf of our members. So if there's a rule that is being published, say regarding how to control salmonella, we're going to have interaction, put comments in, and engage with that. But very importantly to our processor members, we also have staff who are experts in the regulations. So in the plant, I've got a problem, or at the border, I'm trying to bring something across the border and there's a label problem. We have staff who know the regulations backwards and forwards and can help advise our members on what to do to resolve their problems. And that is a very unusual kind of role to play because we're available 24/7. Many of our members, are running 24 hours a day. And so it's really pretty amazing, I think. And we have a lot of really grateful members on the processor side as a result. On the supplier side, of which Corbion is a member, we do a lot of introductions and opportunities to connect and network through the organization. And so we're really grateful to Corbion for the opportunities that they've provided through sponsoring some of our education for our members and some thought leadership roles that we've worked on together. So we have a lot of great stuff going on at NAMI, and we just are really, really excited. As much as you read things that are kind of rough about the meat and poultry industry, actually, there's so much good stuff going on that I'm really proud of the industry.
I can tell by the way you're talking that you're passionate about it. And I love that, and it sounds like NAMI's kind of looking at an end-to-end sort of, way to support, right? So you've got, you have a voice, which, that's incredible to start with for the industry to have a voice, and then to have the people that can help support you that understand regulations forwards and backwards. I imagine if you're someone running a poultry farm, you don't probably have time to read every single regulation that exists, in the world. And then from the supplier side, of course, like you were talking about, I mean, it seems to me that NAMI can kind of keep you covered on all your bases, which is, truly incredible.
Ultimately, I mean, when it breaks down to, yes, we're the voice in Congress, we're the voice, to the public through our communications efforts and those kinds of things. But what it really comes down to is we exist to help our companies, all our companies, thrive and be successful. We want to create an environment that people, either whether you're a policymaker or you're a consumer or a customer like retail and food service, where you are confident that our meat supply it's safe, its workers are treated well, The animals are humanely treated. It's an ethical business. And so our opportunity to create that environment makes everyone feel that the demand can only keep going up, because really demand is what it's all about for our businesses to continue to thrive. And so that's whether it's communications or education or lobbying Congress, really all of it comes down to the business environment that our members exist in.
Right. Well, that's
and I love
incredible.
food. I love food.
Me too.
So being part of the food industry, being a member of an organization that exists to bring delicious things like steaks and chicken nuggets and bacon and lamb chops, and let me not leave out veal, all to the table, is really, really wonderful for me and my family.
Yeah, absolutely. I love food too. Growing up in the Midwest, I have these early memories of going to the butcher shop and choosing, what we were going to eat, and inspecting and going through, and we would choose livestock from the field, and then it was farm to table for us.
Yes.
And it was a great way to grow up. We knew exactly where our food came from. And so, that I don't know that that's an experience everybody gets. It kind of changes your perspective and gives you some education there. And it feels like you have a little more control over what it is that you're feeding your family. And, that was the control that my parents had. Yeah. And it was pretty great. So, and we raised sheep growing up. So.
Oh, wow. Well, so you do have that perspective of seeing the livestock and then seeing the end result. And that's missing from a lot of consumers these days who go to the grocery store and really do not think about how it got there. Although I think that the transparency that we're trying to provide through Protein Pact is something that we feel very strongly, as whether you're a consumer who does not want to know anything except the price, we want to be able to provide a value product. But if you're a consumer who wants to know exactly where the animal, lived and died and came from, then, we want to be able to provide that too.
Right.
So Protein Pact, if you would not mind
I was going to say that's our next topic.
Yeah. So you can see behind me here, PACT, it stands for People, Animals, and the Climate of Tomorrow. And we have been working on this vision for the future for our industry for about the last 3 years. What we are about in the meat and poultry processing segment of the supply chain is continuous improvement. So we've developed a platform for our members to submit data on many of the topics that we've already covered: their food safety, animal welfare, environmental impact, worker safety and labor human rights, and then nutrition and health. Nutrition includes feeding hungry people, so closing the protein gap for people who don't have enough to eat. All of those things we have asked our members to submit data into a database that we don't own, but has been created for this purpose, so that we can measure year over year improvements that we're making in all of those areas. The meat and poultry processing community has already done a ton of work and really quietly has made improvements to all of these areas. Now we want to capture what they're still doing through the help of their suppliers to increase food safety, to increase animal welfare, and then capture that and be able to communicate about it with consumers and with customers. So there's a big demand for this right now, and we really are. This is a huge effort. It's a bit like turning the Titanic when you think about how many stakeholders there are. But we're really excited about the progress we've made so far, and talking to customers. Pick your customer, your retailer, your grocery store, your local or your big chain, or your QSR restaurant, quick serve restaurant, or fine dining. They all want to know more, and we're trying to provide that information.
That's so incredible. And I cannot even imagine trying to bring the data from all of the sources you just mentioned to one single place?
So the other part of this is that we sit in the middle. We sit between the customer and the upstream supplier. Consumers still trust farmers and ranchers. You talked about, being able to go pick your beef cow, and being able to have that consumer perspective, not just at the plant level, but all the way back through the supply chain. So we've been working hand in hand with the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, with the National Pork Board, which has a sustainability arm called We Care that's been around for a dozen years or more. And what we're doing is we're offering the opportunity to connect the dots. So the producers are getting better at also measuring their improvements. And let's just look at climate as an example. So they're creating sustainability work that measures emissions, or maybe measures soil health, or maybe measures water use. We want to be able to connect the dots with that data, plant data, on through transportation and all the way to the retailer.
We'll continue this discussion on the next episode of a Fresh Perspective podcast. Until next time, preserve what matters.